In this episode, Robin McClendon returns to talk about her new stencil and stamp kits inspired by the Silk Road. Not only does she show off the kits, but she also demonstrates different ways to use the stamps and shares some of the art that she created with these kits. Robin kindly offers listeners of Beyond the Brayer a 20% discount if you order one or both of the kits directly from Schiffer Publishing by October 31st. Additionally, if you order by Sunday, October 26th, and send Robin a copy of your dated invoice, you'll receive a free invitation to an in-depth 3-hour-long workshop using the kits to be held on Saturday, November 2nd. I am so excited about that workshop. I can't wait to print with Robin. Be sure to check out the show notes at beyondthebrayer.com for all the links and the information you need. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or another podcast distributor, please consider hopping over to YouTube so you can watch as Robin plays with these new kits. You can find the video at Beyond the Brayer podcast channel on YouTube. Hi, I'm Cindy Jones-Lantier, your host for Beyond the Brayer. I'm a longtime gel printer and the owner of the Gel Print Enthusiast group on Facebook. Before we dive into today's episode, I'd love to invite you to connect with our community. If gel printing is your thing, come join us at the Gel Print Enthusiast group on Facebook. You're not on Facebook? Don't worry about it. You can follow Beyond the Brayer on Instagram or head over to beyondthebrayer.com for full show notes and all of the links. Most podcast distributors have limited space for show notes, so they are greatly edited. If you want the full show notes, please head over to beyondthebrayer.com for the goodies. You can also subscribe to receive the show notes by email. Check out the included show notes for more details. Now, let's say hi to Robin. So, Robin, thank you so much for joining me, and welcome back to Beyond the Brayer.
Yay! I'm loving this. I'm getting to be a regular, eh?
Yeah, I love that too. And I
love
have to
what you're
tell
doing,
you,
Cindy. This is amazing, amazing concept. The podcast is doing so well. I'm very happy for you and a huge congratulations for what you're doing.
thank you. I have to tell you, I have a friend who's not even a gel printer. I don't know how she knows you. The conversation veered off, but because she's not a gel printer, she hasn't listened to all the podcasts, but she listened to yours and she's like, that was amazing. I know her so much better.
Oh,
And I feel so much more appreciation for her as an artist because I know her better.
oh,
So
that's
that was
nice.
wonderful to hear.
And I appreciate, you give me an opportunity to share that part of myself, because we're complex beings, right? And
Oh, right.
it's so much more that goes into even our love for creating. And you and I were talking a little bit before the show started here, just about this idea that, the big thing that happens from creating is really, neural system regulation. It helps to put us into rest and digest and relaxation, and it takes you out of the world, and it really does regulate the neural system. So if you just create and give stuff away, throw it away because you don't like it, the benefit has been in the doing, not in the finished product. And so often, the world takes us down this road of the finished product, the finished product. What did you do? What did you create? And no, it's about just having fun. Let's just have fun. And, I oftentimes say to myself, I pull a lot of prints and I accidentally pull some good ones. And it really is, honestly, because when I do it, I'll say, how am I going to do that again?
Yes.
It's a numbers game.
It is. It is. And you are speaking my language because I'll talk to people when I do classes. I'll talk to people and they'll say, oh, my prints didn't turn out the way I wanted to. And my first question is always, but did you have fun?
Absolutely. That's what it's about. It's about that, and everything else makes a way for itself. The old saying is your passions will make a way for yourself. So if it turns out that it's you're to make a print that you put in a frame or give as a gift or make a book out of, it's going to happen because your passion is going to make way for it. But in the meantime, it's just have fun. And the gel plate is such a beautiful way to allow for that. So yeah.
Yes, yes. So, Robin, tell us a little bit about why you're here with your products. Tell us about the products, the concept. and what you hope to accomplish with them because it's a really unique idea.
Thank you so much. Well, I'll before we go down to the table, because I'll go down to the table and show everyone, but these are the kits. They're two box sets. One is European scripts and one is Asian scripts. Um, and I started with the scripting because with old documents and scripts because I found that there really are only a few good stamps out there that actually have scripting in them, like that you can actually use to kind of reproduce old looking script in your artwork and stuff like that. Um, and I was always looking for stuff that didn't look so specific that you could use over and over again different ways, and it would just look like some kind of random script. It wouldn't look like this so and so's stamp. And so I started with those because I know many of people in my community love Asian scripting. Yeah, love that. And that's one of my aesthetics. And then the European script. So there are, and I'll show everyone. But the concept behind this is I've always loved the Silk Road. Just from the time I was a little girl. And my background is I've studied anthropology. So I'm a cultural anthropologist. And I always liked finding the similarities in cultures. And there's so many, it just started blowing my mind how similar cultures were when you started looking into them and looking into the symbols and stuff that they used, right? Um, and and so to me, the Silk Road project, I approached my publisher about doing this project, and I'm thankfully they're very open to doing it, and they've done an amazing job. Um, with this project, but I wanted it to begin to weave not only cultures together and weave us all together as a collective of people during times when we're just all being divided over stuff that we didn't even know existed the day before till we heard it on the news.
Right.
I got the flag for that. But honestly, we're way more similar, even biological level. I think, biologists talk about that as our human DNA, we're like 98% across the board identical. It's only like about 2% that holds are the genetics of eye color, shape of your face, your body style, your skin color, hair color. All that stuff is only 2%,
I
you know?
know,
But we live in a culture that makes it 80%. And
at
so
least.
at least, right? And so my hope as a not only as a cultural anthropologist, but as an artist and a creative, that I wanted to start a way, let's start talking about our storyline. So Art Mythos, which is my brand, is telling
Mm,
stories visually. So I thought the Silk Road was a really great place to just weave because it just goes all through Europe. It involved into the Middle East. It involves Africa, Australia, and even the Latin Americas because of the influence of the Spanish trade and everything. So, you can find yourself along there. And a lot of times you can find your storyline. And so my inspiration was to create this angel product that everybody can use. You can use it in your artwork, you can sell it. They create a generic organic look. So it doesn't look like Robin McClendon's art. It looks like old documents and things like that that you get to use in your work. There is a book in here, which I'll come down to the table, that has a storyline in it. My publisher agreed for me to be able to put like this journal storyline in there, and it's designed to just hoping to inspire a person who gets the kit to read it and think, oh, okay, yeah, I can pull off of that because I have a similar interest, or I have an ancestor that did such and such. And it's about beginning to weave stories while we're just having fun and just enjoying ourselves. So that is the basic idea behind this product. It's also inspired a little bit by Nick Bantock. Anybody who knows Nick Bantock, Bantock, when I was in the early 80s and book arts was coming back and we were creating these book arts communities and collectives, Nick, being an illustrator and what have you, and kind of new into the book scene as well, we all were, he created that series, the Griffin and Sabine
mm,
series, right? And
right.
I always liked how he did that. I liked his idea of the envelopes and things in them and the illustrations and stuff. So I gave a nod to Nick Bantock in this series where I wanted the journey to feel interesting like that. I wanted it to have visuals, and at the end there's an envelope tucked in there with a piece of artwork and a thing. from me to the viewer, the user. And so it's really a nod to Nick as well, because I like his stuff, and I encourage anyone to go check him out. If you've never, you will not be disappointed. Yeah.
You won't. I'll put some links in the show notes. He was part of my introduction to this kind of art.
Yeah, he's really definitely grandfather of this whole type of um book arts, kind of journaling, mail art, adventure, sort of field notesy type of thing, before it even became a thing. So yeah.
Even in my garage, have a Nick Bantock stamp pad
Oh, really?
back in the day when he had
Back in the day.
products.
He hold on to that. That's an antique.
I know, I know.
So what
The
I thought we
Robin,
could do today is you and I are going to do a little playing, right?
yes.
And so I was going to start off making some quick gel prints with some paint that I like to use, that then go on and do this sort of old world watery kind of technique of stamping with the stamps, to sort of share ideas around how I kind of create these fragments with the stamps, and then I'll show examples how I've worked them back into the artwork. Some of these can actually take gel printed backgrounds, and then you can work up from there. So there's a couple of, there's a few ways of doing this, but I guess before we actually go down to the table, I should also say that for anyone who is viewing this video, this series, and is interested in the kits, right now my publisher is offering 20% off for both one or both kits. You just, at checkout, you put McClendon 20, and I know you'll put that stuff in the show notes.
I will.
It'll give you 20% off before October 31st. Well, actually before the 20, if you purchase before the 26th of this month, it will gain you entry into a workshop that I'm doing. It'll be in for totally free. So anybody who wants to come in, we're doing a Zoom. It's going to be several hours, and I'm showing a lot of techniques and a lot of ways that I work. So you get the bonus, you get the kits, you get 20% off, and you get to come into a free workshop that it's free because you got the kits. Otherwise, it's paid.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So you want to pop down to the table?
I do. I do.
Okay.
I want to play. I want to print. I want to watch you print.
This should be pretty good. I just want to make sure about this. Okay. So I'll do a real quick through the kit so people can see, and then we'll go right into working and doing some printing. So this one is the European scripts, and this was designed for it to be like 100% usable. The only thing you have to throw away is it's a thin plastic film that comes on it just to protect the kit. But aside from that, even this, it's nice white cardboard inside, print on it and use it in your journals. I just didn't want anything to be thrown away. After that, it's a book set that hinges.
Uh-huh.
It has a nice spine on it. What's nice about this kit is that, like I said, it has a nice coat closure. It's a box set. It has a nice spine on it. So literally in your studio, you can literally just sit this on a shelf like a book. So it's a great storage feature. So you always know where it is. When you open it up, there is a story and project guidebook inside, which I'll show you. There are 2 stencils. I call them stencils or masks, because they're more like masks, but they can be obviously used as stencils, because they're more have, free edge. And so they'll kind of work well in, like on the plate different ways, or on paper if you just want to use inks. Then it's in this really nice envelope that of course can be used in our products and our projects. I specifically asked for a glassine envelope. This is a piece of cardboard that holds the stencils nicely, but if you didn't want to use it like that, that can be used in your art. And then inside the box is a piece of hair from the person who put it together, are the stamps. And they'll just pop up. They're foam stamps. They just pop out of this foam, so you can keep it in there or you can remove the foam. Actually, the foam works well on the gel plate too, to create these shapes. You can literally lay it down and stamp with it and create shapes to then cut out and, use a lot of different ways. But when it's done, all of this stuff will fit in the box. And the other thing is, one of the women in my community also says it's a great place to put a lot of the small pieces that you print. You literally can store them in here as well, to have a place to put things. Now these are foam stamps. I worked hard to get a foam that is sturdy, but also will work with a lot of different paints and inks. This one will work with block printing ink, with acrylics, with stamp pads, also fountain ink. And I'll show you guys, that's the technique I'm gonna show today, is how to work with the fountain ink. But it's a little bit firmer than some of the stamps you probably are familiar with that look like this. And they really print well. So I kind of really went through a process of trying to find a really good foam stamp. Now this is the book. I'll just do a quick flip through. It'll start off with the contents, what's in it, that kind of thing. It tells a little bit about the Silk Road, what this project is all about. My protagonist in the story is Cheyenne. She's an archaeologist, explorer. Definitely my alter ego.
Yeah.
And there's a storyline here. It starts with, I sit amidst a sea of parchment and ink in my cozy studio, surrounded by the whispers of ancient civilizations. Sifting through these papers collected from, so many reading rooms and shopkeepers and other unexpected encounters, I'm transported back to the countless hours I spent on the Silk Road, researching the artistry of the written word. And then it goes on from there. So that's the storyline. And every book has a continuation of the story in it. So I have inspirational flat lays in here, just stuff to really kind of get the creative juices going.
Beautiful photography.
Yeah, I did the photography. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then there's a step-by-step guide in here. So there's a lot of ideas and techniques for stamping with these that I've put in here, along with, inspirational images, maybe things you already know, things that you may not have thought of before. But it really can meet you wherever your skill sets are. So you don't feel like, I have to be experienced to do this. Here is, some of the art that I've created. You can see right there one of the images. So we go through, there's a number of techniques in here, and then lots of images. And then we get to the end, and here, I won't spoil it, but this comes out, and there's like, it opens again, and there is this sort of Nick Bantock style treat in there from me. And that's it. So every kit is similar. I won't go through this whole kit. I'll just show you real quickly so you get an idea what's in them. They're all different, and the storybook in there is different as well, because it continues the story of the Silk Road. So this one,
Does it start with the European or does it start with the Asian?
it starts with the European,
Okay.
and then the Asian, but I've also created this so that it mixes and mingles. It's not like we're just going from one
Right.
country to the other. We're kind of going to the countries and then, seeing where they may overlap with some earlier countries or ones to come, with the various symbols and things like that. So the story continues. You can see this is different art in here because we're using different, this is actually this collage is made from the symbols. Like, this is one of the symbols, but I did it in a way that I just wanted it to be very much integrated into the art versus sort of traditional, maybe stamping.
Yeah.
So this goes through, and then here again at the very end, so let's see, at the very end is another envelope, and each one has a different offering in them, and it's a different storyline. So it's never a repeat of what was in the previous one. So that's what they look like. and we can get started. Any questions, Cindy, or anything?
Just excited. I've got my kits out and I opened them. I did take the plastic off and open them. But once we decided to do this, I haven't played with them because I wanted my first experience to be now.
Well, thank you, Cindy. It's exciting. I'm going to work with the smaller plate just because it forces me to make smaller, sort of fragmented type of things. And
Mhm.
I feel that it allows for more experimentation and just without feeling like, oh, I'm getting ready to mess up, or, when you get big sheets. And then once we kind of work out, I wanted to show you guys a few images. So these are collages that I do, sort of my fine art work that just incorporates a lot. And so I'm using old documents. This is all gel prints right here. These are jelly prints, symbols. I use some of these things, like the stamp images back in, and I'll show you that. This background is a gel plate where I overlapped the the stencils and just kind of created a, like, it was orange and then it was white and then I did this gold, and I just keep on putting the stencils on and turning them. This is another one right here. And then this is just a lot of old documents that I use to put back in my work. But like right here, this journal, it's a really funky little journal that I made. I love this thing. And I made it for the Silk Road project. But in here, you can see again how I make these fragments. And that's what we're
Mhm.
going to work on. Because when you do these fragments, they're just ready to then be able to be glued down on top of a piece, and see how it just starts integrating right in. You can
And
just
especially with
really,
that paper.
pardon me?
Especially with that paper.
Right. And we're going to talk papers because I think that's important too. So I'll make a lot of these. And then this is with the old world one, using some gold, and I'll show you the browns and stuff. But so what I do is I create a lot of those. And in this journal, I'm starting to work. But these are some of my collages here again, where these are the stamps. Um, it's kind of the style that I've created to work with these. But you can see I have all these little pieces and they're just all stamped up, ready to go. This is a finished piece using the stamps and sort of my scripting, my style of working.
Yeah.
So I have this journal, and I kind of encourage you just to make a journal. These are from a lot of gel prints, overprints, um, papers that were on my table, that how we all have those. I
Yes.
take those, yeah, and I turn them into journals. And then that way we're ready to then start working right on top of, like I did with this one and with the stamps. So think in terms of this project, or any of the projects you work. It doesn't have to be because you get these stamps. Just start thinking in terms of, like, making a book while you're experimenting, and it allows you to play with a lot of ideas and do a lot of things without feeling like you've got to pull a print, do a thing, and then, oh, I don't like it, and throw it away. I always believe in experimenting. Then and then from there, so we're here.
Well,
I-
experimenting is the best way to get to know your materials.
Absolutely, right? It really is. So let's talk papers before we start printing. We put these somewhere out the way. Okay. So I'll show you some papers I have. And I also want to show you, like, some of the easiest ways to get papers. I have some in this book as well. I think I have some in the back because I'm always stuffing extra ephemera and stuff in my books when I'm okay, like right here. Take this out. So this is paper similar to what I was just showing you all with the prints on it.
Uh-huh.
And now this is paper that's just from an old document, but it's a thin sort of tissue paper. So what I do is I'll take this medical strength paper. Hold up, I have some right here in my drawer. You can get this on Amazon, and I'll make sure to give you links, Cindy.
It's a medical exam paper, the crepe style.
Yeah, the medical exam paper, you get a whole roll of it. This coffee stains so good. So the piece that I was just showing you all, that I just showed you, All of these pieces, this is medical. This is this paper right here. It's just got a coffee stain, just just a little bit of a staining on it. You know, and
Wonderful.
I take a spritzer, like I keep it on my desk. I put my coffee, I prepare my coffee, and I just put some alcohol in it, and it keeps it from going bad. You can use it forever. And I
Uh-huh.
literally would just take and spritz this, and you know, just kind of, I'll show you real quick, just so you get the idea. It's so easy to do it, so you don't feel like you have to do this whole coffee staining thing.
Yeah, because that is such a pain to have to put everything
Yeah, it really
in the
is. So I
on the stove and
yeah, and so I just take a piece. I'll this is gonna work here, and I want to kind of keep this from getting too much stain on it. I have a metal tray that I use for staining and stuff down here. So also, so you can see what I did in the book. Like this is paper that I had on my desk when I was doing some coffee staining and different stuff like that. So this is the kind of stuff that ends up being pages in the journal. But you just keep on working on top of it. So that's the medical paper. And this stuff is cheap too. Like I think you get a roll of it like for $12 or something like that. It's not expensive at all. So you see, and then what I do is I just take my hand. It's wet strength too. So this paper is really strong. Some of the cheapest way to get wet strength paper going. And so I like to just move it around with my hands. Am I on camera? Sorry about that. So that I smooth it out. So it goes smoother and we don't get a lot of that
uh,
yeah, and I flip it over just to kind of absorb the color because I kind of want it to be smooth. So in order for it to look like this vintage piece, and see how quick that is? I mean, and this will be dry in no time because it's not really wet. So and so that you just saw go from that medical strength white
uh-huh.
paper to something that looks, I mean, almost identical to this paper that's from the 1890s or something like that. This paper is from. Look at that. You
That's
almost can't
amazing.
tell. So
Yeah.
we all can have, we all have this really incredible paper. So that's the first thing I want to show you. And then the other little tip is that who remembers these? You know the papers that you put on your curlers we used to wet set?
Yes.
They still sell these.
They
So you can
do?
get these on
Goodness.
Amazon. I'll make sure I give you the link, Cindy.
Yeah.
You can get a box of these. There's like 1,000 of them. And they're wet strength, right?
Mhm.
Because they had to be wet for the curlers.
Fur.
Yeah, exactly. So I take these and I also use these for stamping on, printing on, and same thing. You just take and it's so easy. It couldn't be easier. This way of doing it. Of course, if you want more color, you can. But right there, we went. Look at that already. It's just colored versus
Right.
the white. So I make a lot of these up. So you can't even almost see that one. So I use these. A box of them is like $4 or something like that. They're so inexpensive. And so I'll make those. And then from there, I will stamp them. You can also stamp them in advance and then stain them. If you use an indelible ink, like something that's not going to bleed, that's what indelible means. So of
Uh-huh.
course, most Indian inks, fountain pen inks, like I like this brand, Shizuki. Once it dries, like if you let it dry for a couple of days, you can come back and stain them. You might get a little bit of bleeding, but that makes it look a little more aged, right? So you can
Right.
go either way. You can pre-stain and then use them, or use them and then stain. Either way. But I wanted to show that real quick because such an easy way to work. So
Yeah, the last time I coffee stained, I did tens and tens and tens of pages because it was such a pain in the neck to do. I wanted to not have to do it again anytime soon.
exactly. So that's what I do. I just keep this right on my table, and whenever I want something, I just stain, and it just keeps it going. And it makes it easy without feeling like it has to be a big process.
Right.
So now let's do a little printing, and I'm going to show you One of the kinds of paints that I love to use is these inexpensive either chalk paints, um, and this is folk art, so it's a chalk paint. I use that chalk paint. I also will use Blick matte acrylics, so either chalk
Uh-huh.
paint, Blick matte acrylic, or the other one I love is paper artsy in the fresco finish. Now, why these? Because they end up with a chalky finish, not a glossy matte finish. And what that chalky finish will do when we go to print with the stamps using ink, you'll get it to absorb into the print. And it'll give that little watery kind of feeling to it. And it just starts giving an aged and in some ways, even almost an etheric kind of look to it. So I wanted to show that because I don't think we use chalk paints and, mattes enough on the gel plate. I don't see them used as much as I do see, your standard acrylics. I don't know about you, Cindy, but what have you seen?
I don't see it very often either. I usually print with regular acrylics just because that's what I have.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna have to pick up some chalk paint and try it. I love trying new products.
Good. Yeah, and it's really inexpensive. Like these are, I'm kind of low on oh, my paints, but we'll get it out. Because what I like to do is I have some colors in the other part of the studio, but of course I'm not there. Let's just say.
Right.
Of course, you know how that works. These are all like a couple bucks, at the
Yeah, you can get them at the craft store. You can get them
Mhm.
probably at Walmart, maybe
Yeah,
Target.
Walmart. So let's put a little down. And because I want to kind of create a lighter surface, I'm going to use a little bit of white, just a little bit to, I have a tendency to mix on the plate, but you can mix off plate. I mix on the plate because I like to get, you know, sort of, sort of the marbling color mixing, but you can do however you want to do it.
Yeah, I mix on the plate when I don't want to make a solid color. Usually.
Yeah,
If I want to
exactly.
make a new solid color, I mix on a palette.
Exactly. Exactly. So basically, and I have this is just mixed media paper. It's actually printmaking paper, but it's not an expensive one. Sort of it's good for block printing and stuff like that. So what I like to do is go ahead and we'll pull a few of these, and it's immediately you're going to see that it's flat
Yes,
to it,
about.
and it's dry, but it feels chalky. I love it, and it will definitely make a difference. Kind of got some spots on here that it's okay though. This doesn't pull a lot off the plate. The chalky has a tendency to kind of it'll pull the plate, but like it won't pull if you have a lot of old layers on there, it really doesn't pull a lot of that. Let me just get some of this off as much. This is the fresco
And you said that's
artsy.
paper artsy? Okay.
These are actually Seth Apter's colors with paper artsy.
Okay.
So he has them, and I think you can reach out to him and um, if you want to get links or find out more about the product. Now, see, I had some gray on here. I have a tendency to tone my prints, so because that's where I sort of get that variation, sort of the old wall look, and just start getting some interest. And that's traditional printmaking techniques. I taught fourth year students, BFA students at Corcoran School of Art in DC years ago. And so I taught in the printmaking department. I taught book arts in the printmaking department. So when I first came to the gel plate, I came with a printmaking background. And so you see how much more interesting that is to get that variation, that little bit of color when it stays on your brayer,
Yes.
it
Yes.
just starts looking more activated, like a little more interesting than, really super, super duper cleaning.
Yes, I agree totally.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do one more of the gray and then we'll go on to, didn't I do gray? Yeah. we'll go on to me stamping and sort of showing you how I work with it. Dry pieces off. Let's get a little bit more white. And as long as you start off by, I sort of take the edge of my brayer and I'm mixing it, I'm swirling it and mixing it pretty much together before I start spreading it around. So you get a pretty good mixture, but you do get some of the color sort of staying a bit separate to kind of give that interest. So those of in the audience that hasn't done that before, I'm getting these marks because the paint has dried pieces and I haven't taken the time to go and actually clean it. So that's where these spots are coming from. But that adds to sort of the aged part as well, because what I do with these papers is that sort of once I print on them or whatever, I'll go back and take my handy coffee and I'll coffee stain and get them all stained up. So all of it will become integrated and it just gives such a nice look. Okay, so let's move on to working with the stamps. Okay, so well, uneven if I reach, but that's all good. Just kind of cleaning my brayer. So I'll come back and just put this back down. It's not gonna be a perfect match, but it's okay. Because we're using these as segments. So, okay, so
Yeah, I think you can never have too many plain colored backgrounds to do other things on top of.
exactly. I start a session with my plain color backgrounds because first of all, you want to activate the plate. So to get
Right.
this plate to start singing for you, you need to get moisture in it and it needs to get conditioned for the current environment that you're in. If it's too hot, a lot of moisture in it. So pulling about a good, 10 prints really conditions the plate to start working. And so for me, the smartest way to do it is just pull a lot of, various color backgrounds in the palette you plan on working in, and then go from there. And that way your plate is
Also,
activated. Mhm.
I was going to say that's also how when I get new paint, how I get to know it.
Absolutely. You're right. So right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some black ink. This is like Indian ink. You can use a number of different things, but this is my little glass dish and it had some coffee in there, so I'm okay mixing it. So what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of ink in and then taking, I always have extra cups and stuff. So let's just put a little fresh water in here and get my brush. It's always nice when you're doing this technique. I'm using one of my Sumi brushes. This is the Levizon brushes that I absolutely love. But you can use any watercolor paint brush or any small brush to pick up the ink color. And I say like a smaller one because you don't really want a whole lot of ink dripping off of a big brush. And so let's say I want to work with this. This is one of our ones from the Asian series. What I'll do is I'll just start.
And so you wet your brush first, right?
Yeah, just to get things a little bit more homogeneous. You're filling the brush and it's just making
Right.
things a little liquid, more runny. But I don't, it's not, I just a little bit and I kind of wipe it off. I don't know if you saw me, I didn't probably say it, but
Yes.
I'll just take the tip and do like that and it pulls water out. So let's say right here. So now on top of this, we'll start with this one. On top of here, just kind of overprint and see what happens. You'll automatically start getting this sort of little bit of running, but you see how the color right here
Oh, yeah.
starts absorbing into the chalk. So it doesn't lay on the surface, it starts going in and you get this really cool print when you're done. It automatically starts looking kind of old world and just really neat. So you can do that. And then I also will take, to make it a little more runnier, I'll take a spray bottle. This one has alcohol in it. So I use alcohol because alcohol dries so much faster. So what it'll do is it'll put a little bit, just a little bit, it puts a little bit of liquid on here and it'll make it runnier. Because my thing is always to kind of make things look like old documents and what have you. And it will activate the ink as well. So you see, you start getting a different print, a little runnier. And it just keeps on activating. And you see it's not quite as dark as the first one.
Uh-huh.
So let's work with this one. And so the way I'm doing this, where we're just kind of stamping up the whole piece, because we're going to use it in sections. We're not using this as a, final print, right? We're doing it
Right.
in sections. So it gives it, I call this technique, in my book, I called it fragments. It's this idea of creating fragments. And I'm kind of over stamping so you can kind of see it on and off of it. But even there, if you coffee stain it, all that gets used, it just becomes, so you see how we get that nice bleeding? And here it bleeds like that, but here it starts absorbing into the paper. So it's not laying on the surface. It doesn't even look like, it looks more like a print than a stamp.
It does.
Yeah. So that's cool. So now let's also I have these, we'll use this one here. Have I confused myself? Okay, this is the Asian over here. This is, so the European script. And this is one of my scripts. It's what I call my old world intuitive scripting. So one of those are in the pack as well. So let me go ahead and get this brush clean, get the black off of it. And then just kind of wipe it off a bit. And now this is the this Ira Suzuki set, and they're coming a 4-pack. I'll make sure I give you all the links for this, Cindy, when you go
Okay,
back.
great.
Just
Thank you.
me, you'll see when you edit it. And I'll make sure I give you a list for everything if I forget this. But this comes in a 3-pack, and it has this really yummy sort of raspberry color. It has this purpley blue, and it has this sort of darker blue. And I mean, these have lasted forever. But it's actually fountain pen ink. These actually are designed to go in ink, like in fountain pens.
Right, with fountain pen, so I have a ton of fountain pen ink.
Yeah, so find those because oh my God, they're the best. So here again, I do use stamp pads, but we know how to use stamp pads.
Right.
So I wanted to show you guys some techniques that, maybe you're not thinking about.
And I love the shape of that before I even see what the print looks like.
Huh?
I love the shape of the stamp in your hand.
Thank you. I had them really shape them so that, like you could really stamp and work around them without a whole block or something and sort of plan something better. So let's go ahead and put this down. Look at that. Oh, it's so good.
Oh, what a wonderful color.
Isn't it a great color? And so we can see when you overstamp, it goes right into the unprotected paper. But this, you see, it's laying on top. And as it dries, it will pull in the middle. And like where it's thinner, it'll look thinner. And when it's done, you get this multi-level to your actual coloration, unlike stamp pad, because of the chalk. It's just depending on the thick and thin and how much is actually pulling into the paper, and they look so good dried. I'll do this. This is text. These are all from very old documents. Most of the documents I tried to get were the 17 and 1800s. So they're old.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and they're just stuff that we can use with wild abandon, doing anything current. Okay, let's just do this.
Yeah, you mentioned, I don't remember if you mentioned it before we started recording or after, but that these are Angel products.
Yes, they're definitely Angel products. Thanks for bringing that up. It's let me look at that. It looks like you just did it with an ink pen. And I did this thing. So I made the documents just be a little bit hard to read. I mean, even when I was working with my designer, they were like, well, you can't hardly read them. I don't want it like that. I don't want it to be able to be read. We just want the inference of text. And then using this ink pen, it looks so much more like it was done with a pen than to use the stamp pads. I mean, stamp pads are fine, but this does that. So yeah, the Angel products, these are all, you can use these with wild abandon in your art. You can sell it. You can exhibit, whatever you want to do. Give as gifts. I want you to feel free to use these. If you are doing anything commercial or if you're, exhibiting or something and you list your products, you might list, acrylic paints, da da da. You can just list, Silk Road Kit Schiffer or something like that, just to give a nod to the product. But you don't have to put Robin McClendon. You don't have to, this is your art. This is your work. And I designed it in a way so that it would totally be able to be comfortable to be used as yours. So see on that pink? Doesn't that look good?
That does look good.
I think I did. Which color did I use? You know what? It was this orange, wasn't it? With some gray.
Yes, I think, and some gray, some of that gray mixed
And
with
look what
white.
it came out. Oh, it looks so good. It doesn't even look like it would be that. Just mixing a little bit of gray in there. So I'm going to show you. So see how these are coming along? And then any part of these could be then used. Get myself confused here. I have let's go do this. There are just these little things that were printed on documents with ink pens. I always liked this kind of stuff, or these seals and stuff like that. It is hard to
Yes.
find. So there are, like, in this one kit, I think there's one, two, three. How many are there? I think there's four plus the this one, and then two different types of scripting. I believe that's correct.
Yeah. I'm looking at my kit. Yes.
So these are cool to use throughout your documents. It's just sort of fun ways to have some of these symbols that are otherwise impossible, because nobody is making. I haven't seen any stamps that use just document stuff, because that's what makes our prints. And see how that the ink, depending on how much you put on or how little, you get more of that sort of smeared print, which I like. But just to show you, we can actually take, I guess it's fair to show people. Okay, that you can see how that printed. I guess you see it prints. This thing is just will print forever because it's so much ink on there.
Mhm.
And you could just keep on printing and get variations of it. And the less the ink, the more clearer the print will be. But then you could take this is which one is it? I love these. The Versifying Clear. They come in all kind of colors. I love these stamp pads. Let's just see. Just go up here. See what we get. So then you can see how with a stamp pad you get a completely different.
Right.
So it just sort of shows the difference in using the different, and there's no right or wrong. It's just you just get a different kind of inky print. So that's why I really wanted to show that. And then let's just do something on this so you guys can see that. Is there a particular stamp that I haven't used that you might want to see? This is okay, this is all old world. Let me get another one of these Asian ones, because there's some good ones here. This one is, I love it. And then this is a nice kind of chop. So on the medical strength paper, that's where you'll get that real dreamy, runny kind of look. And so I would take a piece like this and I would just keep stamping it up. I mean, doesn't that look like just like an old chop?
It does.
It's the inks. It's using these inks. And so I would stamp these up, and then, oh, I'll show you something real quick. Because of course, then I'll be, oh, I'll show you this. Oh, I'll show you that.
See, now that encourages people to get the products before the 26th, so you can sign up for the workshop, get invited to the workshop, so that you can show us all these. Oh, and I'll show you this.
But because I have, like, we'll go through so many techniques. Okay, so this is a gold, have to get that ball going. It's a calligraphy ink in a gold, but you can any, gold ink or paint. And what I like to do is I'll just put a little bit on my gel plate because I'm gonna use it as a palette. And then taking my brush. I just love using inks with stamps. I've done that for a really long time because I just like the organic, natural kind of,
Yeah, you're right. It does look so much more like something's actually written on the paper rather than stamped.
right. So then what I do is I'll kind of do a drop. Let me make sure I got this in the right thing. Sort of I don't try to get it perfect, just a drop shadow in the gold. And when it dries, it is so good. Right now, let me see. You can sort of see, but when it totally dries, it looks like I have one here. Well, this is just with the gold in color. Look how pretty that is. Oh, but see
That's
right here, here
amazing.
it is. That was a black ink, and then I used the silver and did a drop shadow over it. And
Mhm.
you just cut that out, and you just get these pretty kind of overlays um, that just really look almost like brocade or something that might be on fabric or something like that. So I like also doing sort of that drop stamp kind of look. And then the other thing I want to show you is, I know we're coming up on the close here. Let's look at papers real quick. I showed you the medical strength. I showed you these, we'll just stamp that up. Sometimes I just take whatever's left and stamp it. With these, there's 1,000 in the box. We don't have to be perfect. We can just get
Right.
fragments. I mean, look how cool that looks with the bit of the pink with the gold in there like that. So you can always
Yummy.
get a different coloration. And then these right here, you go to glue this on a collage, and it literally, this paper will literally disappear. And it's just great. So those are papers. And now the other paper I want to show you. This is just part one of what's going to come up. You guys got to come here. Come on in, and we're going to have a lot of fun. This right here is a it's this sort of like archival tissue paper in this
Uh-huh.
craft color. That can be gotten on YouTube. I mean, on YouTube, on Amazon. This is, I love working with this black steak paper because here again, just gold or silver on here. And then, you cut this out and use it as a fragment and collage. It just doesn't get better.
I love metallics and black.
Yeah, look at that.
They were made for each other.
And you see how that little bit of pink is still on there from the inks. And so when you just keep on printing on top and not cleaning your stamp pad, just keep printing and printing, you just start getting all this overflow of colors, because by using the ink, it's just going to keep on reactivating the ink before it until it totally becomes maybe another color at a point. So this black steak paper, it's actually literally like a deli paper, but it's
Uh-huh.
like when you serve steak or whatever, I guess, to absorb the oils. And what else do I have here? Oh, and also don't forget good old fashioned, um, this sort of wrapping paper that comes out of our packages when we get stuff from Amazon or places like that. I always save that and fold it up and use it, because here again, this is all the kind of stuff that will kind of create an old world look to your you like we all like junk journals and instant vintage and stuff like that.
Yes.
Using the papers, picking papers that are all ready to go, they're free. Um, you can go back and coffee stain them if you want, but look at that.
Beautiful.
And that you're ready to go. You can um, tear that out, and you could stain it some more. And then that's sort of ready just to work into, well, I'm kind of stuff over here, but into whatever one of these. Like if I'm working on a print here, let's say I'm still building something and I like working on this brown sort of cardboard craft paper. But this begins something you can put down, and then you can just kind of start building up these fragments, and then just, with other pieces of ephemera, and you can just start building these things up. So much more easily than trying to figure out a whole completed, gel print or images and stuff like that. So yeah, I just really want to encourage everyone to think about the gel plate as a tool. Just like you think about your paint brushes or your different stencils and stamps and all that kind of stuff. You think of it as a tool in your studio. I'll come back facing. But a lot of times I think people think about the gel plate as a one and done, a finished, I got to pull it out and finish something with it. Think of it as another tool. Think of the gel plate like a paintbrush. When I work, I'll teach teachers. I've been invited to universities to teach continuing education. You know, when teachers have to go back and get so many credit hours to keep their. And I worked with a group of teachers in Tennessee past summer, and I worked with about 60 of them in about a month's time, or it wasn't even a month. I think it was a couple of weeks. And one of the things I kept on telling them is think about this as a tool. Whatever module you're teaching in your art room, you may be teaching Zentangle, you may be teaching collage, you may be teaching, stamp carving. Think of the plate as a tool that you'll go to and maybe create the background, or maybe you're going to create, like you could put a leaf down, right? And put color down, put a leaf down, pull the print, and you know what happens when we pull it? It'll be a white leaf there. Well, now you can Zentangle in it.
Exactly.
You instantly have a form that when you're done, people feel like, I got art. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I always say, think of it as a tool. And you can take that tool and do a lot of things with it. And I think when you think about the gel plate like that, Cindy, it frees up how you get to use it and the experiences you have. And you're not so like, oh my God, I didn't get it right, or I messed up that print type of feeling to it. So yeah.
Yeah, we've already talked about this, but I really encourage people to just play. That's
Yes.
one thing, that's how you learn your tools. Like I've already said, that's how you learn your tools, your paints, your papers. But also it just is fun if you take the pressure off of it, of yourself.
Yeah, we're here to have fun. We're not here to be, compared to the next YouTuber or the last Instagrammer. You got to get over that. We're just here to have fun. We're regulating our nervous systems. We just want to enjoy life. And the gel plate is such a freeing way to do it. And I'm always looking at ways to encourage people to become more free with it and make it their own so that you really can create your own sort of voice, your own visual vocabulary with it. And the more you do that, the less you'll start feeling that imposter syndrome thing, because you're not copying anyone. You're literally allowing yourself to resurrect your own sort of visual storyline
Mhm.
in the creating process. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I love that.
Yes, yes, yes. This is just a quick, a demonstration on some of this. Thank you for inviting me, Cindy.
Oh, you're
Um,
welcome.
to,
Thank you
to
for
show,
coming.
yeah, to show this, and there'll be deeper dives like in that workshop. And as I continue, I'll do deeper dives. But just wanted to encourage people to think a little, and like even if you don't even get the stamps or anything, you already have stencils and stamps. Think differently about the products you already have, because that's the real point of this.
I just want to mention, I don't think you did, that this is an ongoing series. There are actually going to be 8 of these, aren't there?
Yes, I've already created kits 3 and 4. So as we continue to sell and people become interested, and the series will continue. And yeah, there's a whole series behind this for sure.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm excited.
So, everybody, read the show notes for links. Robin and I will coordinate and get some links for you for the products that she used. And we'll get a link for you for the publisher, and the discount code McClendon20
Yes.
will remind you of that. So go buy some fun things. I can't wait to. I meant to play with along with you, but I was so
But it's a lot going
fascinated
on.
by what you were doing. I was so fascinated by what you were doing that I still have my gel plate right in front of me, just naked as can be.
No, that's quite all right. But we said we wanted to have fun, and so
And
I know I've enjoyed it, and I always enjoy hanging out with you. So it's a
thank
lot
you.
of fun.
So, Robin, thanks so much for being here. I hope you'll come back. I
Oh,
hope you come back before kits 3 and 4, but definitely for kits 3 and 4.
yes, definitely. Well, whenever you invite me, I'm here. I'm wearing your t-shirt. I like the work that you're doing, and
Thank
I
you.
support community. I'm a big community person. So you've created an amazing community. Yeah, I'm just about supporting everybody. All of us as creators on the journey. We just want to have fun. So there's no rights or no wrongs. I always say in my community, there's no right or wrong. It's just what you've done and, how you look at it and where you want to take it. And that's that. So, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So, Robin, have a wonderful afternoon.
You too, Cindy, for sure. And we'll look forward to seeing you soon. And anyone in your community that, needs anything, they can always reach out to me if they have a question. I'm always available. So no problem.
Yeah, Robin is very accessible.
Thank you.
So, we'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. I had so much fun hanging out with Robin while she demonstrated her new kits. I learned a few things and I got exposed to some great products and papers that I was unfamiliar with. I had intended to print and stamp along with Robin, but I got so absorbed in what she was doing that I didn't get around to it. I can't wait to play with these kits and techniques myself. Don't forget to order your kits by Sunday, October 26th to get a free invitation to an exclusive upcoming workshop that will feature these kits. Details are in the show notes. My name is Cindy Jones Lantier, and you've been listening to Beyond the Braille, the only podcast that rolls out the messy, magical world of gel print artists one layer at a time. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please consider subscribing and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Podchaser. Tell your friends and come back for another engaging conversation. Visit the website at beyondthebrayer.com for show notes, useful links, and contact information. By the way, there won't be a new episode next week. Until next time, keep that brayer rolling.